Good morning, and welcome everyone to Aging by the Bay, where we provide families in the San Francisco Bay Area relevant information about healthy aging practices and services. I'm your host, Ajay Sani from ComForCare Home Care. With ComForCare, you can give your loved ones the best life possible thanks to compassionate care that helps them live with dignity and respect in the comfort of their own homes. Find out more at comfortcare.com or call us at 1 800 886 4044. At Aging by the Bay, we talk about joys and some of the challenges of growing older in the Bay Area. We talk to experts about what they see happening as people age, as well as the services that are available that you or your loved ones may not be aware of. So, today it's my pleasure to introduce Melanie Henry. For Melanie, it's all about helping others and making a difference in the community. The driving issue for an aging parent is a source of worry for many families. A new service is available here in the Bay Area to help give families the valuable information they need to make a decision and help give peace of mind. Melanie is the proud owner and CEO of the Driver Cognitive Assessment Center, known as DCAC. She provides fair and accurate driving assessments for people with a medical condition, or they may be taking medications that may be interfering with their mental capacity to drive. So, good morning, Melanie. How are you doing today?
Oh, good morning, AJ. I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me on your show. Yes, AJ, this is a new service to the Bay Area, and it kind of came around in a little bit of a around the corner way. Originally, my career goal was to become an occupational therapist in driving rehabilitation, but sadly, my math mark missed the qualifying for the program. But as it goes in life, one door closed and another opened. And I wanted just to share with your listeners, I have a background in social welfare and risk assessment, and I also was coordinating a volunteer driver program that helps provide medical rights for seniors through the senior support program at the Tri-Valley. And on top of that, I'm also a licensed driving instructor and teach teenagers and adults how to drive. So I know, people ask me a lot, how is this came about? And I would be sitting at my desk facing the senior centre, and I would see all these people driving in for all the activities, and quite often there would be like a driving incident. Sometimes, usually it would be small, lots of parking issues, and we quite often would have one car that would be left running outside the front of the main doors with the engine running, but no driver. The person had gone inside and was enjoying the activities, but the car was still running. And so, also in the role in my role as transportation coordinator, we were driving a lot of our senior clients, and many of them were still driving, but starting to report that they were fearful about crossing town to go to another city or going on the highways, or they would share something about their driving skills changing, but they didn't want to talk to their doctor about it because they were worried that their license would be taken away. And so we know that, when a person's unsafe to drive, they must stop driving, and nobody wants to be a dangerous driver, but the problem is in knowing when to stop. So giving up the keys, it's an emotional time for the person. It's also can be a really worrying time for the family. And so during this time, my own personal situation had changed. I knew I wasn't going back to graduate school, and so I started researching everything to do with driving because I was already in that field. And I stumbled across the drive-able technology, and that was my aha moment. I knew that my background, my experience, my driving instructor years would be a perfect fit, so I applied for licensure and I completed the training, and we opened the centre last November.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I wanted the centre to be important. I wanted the centre to be accessible for the whole community. I wanted it to be set up so that families could, and the driver themselves could contact us directly for a driving assessment instead of going through the doctor,
Okay.
because a lot of the families want to take ownership for the decision making around this stressful time. And a lot of clients and spouses, they want to do this as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Drive Able technology, I don't know, not a lot of people know about this technology. It's a company that's been around for 17 years. They've done over 114,000 assessments worldwide, with 80,000 in North America alone. And it's been validated by award-winning university research. It's science-based,
Mm-hmm.
and it's objective. It's not an opinion. It's the person's results are matched to the results of other healthy, normal drivers. And so it gives, this fair and accurate information that people are looking for about safety around driving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because when it comes to safety, it's just not this about the safety of the driver, but also people around us. So it's like it's bigger issue overall. And you mentioned about this driving technology company. So you said 17 years. So where this company is based out of?
They're based out of Alberta in Canada,
Okay.
and they license around the world. I mean, this technology is even in Australia and New Zealand, which is
Uh-huh.
where I'm from. If your listeners are trying to spot my accent, um, and yeah, a lot of other hospitals and medical providers have this in other states around the US,
Okay.
but here in Northern California, there's nothing like this. So I'm excited to be able to bring this service to our communities here in the Bay Area. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, because I interact with quite a few business owners in my line of work, and yet before meeting you, I didn't hear about this driving assessment center, and yours is the first in the Bay Area. So this is really good. This is really helpful. But let's understand a little bit, for the sake of our listeners, how does this driving assessment service works, and who is this for? Do you see seniors really contacting you directly, or is it the children contacting you? So maybe please run through the whole
Yeah.
process.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. So, this driving assessment, it's for experienced drivers. So, and it's for people that have a medical condition that is affecting the mental abilities needed for driving. So, what this assessment does, it measures the interaction of a number of cognitive skills
Hmm.
and how that may have been compromised. Um, we know that medical conditions can affect people at any age, but typically they're more likely to occur as we get older.
Uh-huh.
And so some of the medical conditions that would be considered for as being a good referral here would be someone that has Parkinson's disease, or they're recovering from a stroke, or they've had traumatic brain injury, or they have mild cognitive impairment,
Uh-huh.
maybe even heart disease like congestive heart failure, or even some of the metabolic diseases like diabetes, that chronic effects of that can all affect driving abilities. And the research is also showing that medication can seriously impair the ability to drive, that it's being kind of compared to alcohol.
Hmm.
And sometimes even though like one condition might not be severe,
Okay.
if there are several medical conditions and different medications being used, they can combine to make the person unsafe to drive. And so we also see people that, where the the dad, for example, might have had a number of falls in a short period of time,
Hmm.
or they're starting to see some memory loss, or there's been a really rapid decline in being able to do everyday tasks.
Hmm.
Sometimes the families will call us because they want a baseline for where things are at, because dad is still driving, to the store to pick up his groceries and his prescription.
Hmm.
Um, one of the helpful things for families, AJ, is that there are lots of warning signs through driving skills actually just changing, very visual things that the person might not be aware of their own driving areas. The family might see that the car has some scrapes and dents on it that the person driving that car has no idea how that happened. Maybe like the side view mirror's missing. Maybe they're, got a big scrape down the side and they don't remember how that happened. They might say people are crazy out there driving, all these people were honking. I mean, we all get honked at when we're driving, but if the person's getting honked at every single day, that's kind of a warning sign that there might be a problem. Sometimes, I have families who say, my mum said that she got lost going to the store, that she couldn't find her way home. That's another warning sign that driving skills are starting to change. And so how this works is the driver or the spouse or a concerned family member, maybe it's one of the adult kids, can contact us directly. Or some families like to talk to their doctor first, or the specialist if it's a neurologist, and then they can recommend that they come in here. Once we get the phone call, we contact that person, we set up the appointment. Love for your listeners to know we have weekend appointments available to make this easier on working families. We then send out a welcome packet with a number of forms that need to be filled out and brought back on the day of. And then on the day of the assessment, we are looking at a snapshot in this person's driving life. And so we want that person to take any normal medications that they would normally do, have breakfast if they normally do, have their coffee, bring their glasses, wear their hearing aids, have someone else drive them to the assessment. And they won't be alone. A trained assessor sits beside them. We explain every task. There's practice beforehand. We guide them through it. And it usually takes around 45 minutes to 1.5 hours, depending on the level of cognitive impairment or what may be going on. And it costs $245. And the really amazing thing about this technology, AJ, is that it's the only cognitive assessment that predicts actual on-road performance.
Nice.
So how it all happens is it's a touchscreen computer screen, and it's called DCAC. And the person touches the screen when they need to respond, or they touch one of 3 buttons, and then the family, if they're nominated by the person, and the client will receive, and the doctor, if they give consent, they'll receive a detailed report. It's in colour. It identifies risk factors as well, and I send that out within a couple of days. That's the first portion. Some drivers need more evaluation. They're kind of sitting in between in one of the areas. And so I have a dual control gas and brake car, and it's an instructor vehicle, and they come out with an evaluator, and we have a specialised road course that takes about 45 minutes. That evaluation costs $325. And that one then measures, in more depth about what's going on. Not everybody needs to have that on-road evaluation.
Got it.
Yeah. And so some people, they may come and they may not feel well, or something may pop up for them in the middle of the assessment. And with the technology is so amazing that we can suspend that, and the person can come back within 2 weeks. We try not to do that, but there's some flexibility there if we need to be able to resume the assessment later on.
This is good that you mentioned that. So maybe you can tell us about the challenges that you see during this line. I mean, is communication difficult because there could be nervousness, uncertainty, or reluctance among seniors to take assessment?
And it's very understandable, isn't it? Giving up the keys, or someone assessing your driving, it's a nerve-wracking experience for all of us, even going to the DMV for most people. So most of the people that come in, they are stressed, they are nervous, they're uncertain, they're really motivated to do as well as they can, and we are here to support them, every person, to do as well as they can. We understand about those challenges that they personally face, and some of our people that come in too, They're worried about how long it's going to take. They feel like it's a test of time. There's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of that, but we try to reassure them that, you know, your family's going to be okay. We have families waiting outside now with all of the COVID concerns. We are only doing one assessment at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So once they're in the room, you know, we try to ease anyone's concerns about it and normalize, you know, the level of anxiety. And the technology takes into account all of that anyway, especially with the one out on the road. You know, we all have bad mistakes that we make, bad driving errors, all of us, when we've been driving for, you know, 50, 60 years. So the system takes into account all of that. But yeah, the challenges are, you know, that some people are extremely nervous. So we just take that time before the assessment to calm everybody down and to reassure them. And I think the fact that we're sitting with them through the assessment, they're not alone. There's the practice, you know, it's to be expected, but we
Yeah,
do our best to manage that with the person.
true. So, what kind of reaction you get from your clients once it is done, and what is it that you find most rewarding?
Um, Most of our clients are really happy
Hmm.
once it's over because, you know, there's been a build up towards this. And
Really?
yeah, the bit that, you know, they've usually the assessment's booked, you know, a week or so ahead of time. And so yeah, they're very excited, very grateful that it's over,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that they've done their very best. So yeah, usually it's a reaction of feeling elated. What I find most rewarding is that I know that this technology and the results, the assessments are accurate and fair, and I know that it's helping to give families like peace of mind around
Mm-hmm.
this decision making. And, you know, so often it's such a heated argument for families to
Mm-hmm.
bring up the driving issue. And so having this be like a third party
Mm-hmm.
where it's a science-based evaluation, it really takes the pressure off families. It opens up the opportunity for them to be able to have the conversation. It
Mm-hmm.
means, you know, for doctors where they're referring to, that they don't lose their patient. Um, you know, the
Yeah.
driver's not angry with the doctor because the doctor said, hey, I think you need to stop driving. The report really speaks for itself. It's in colour. It's a very visual document,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a strategic. It just is, you know, a good baseline for families to be able to open up the discussion. So yeah, I think it's rewarding. It's helping to keep. It's a wonderful opportunity for families to get more information, and for spouses and adult kids. And yeah, I really, really love the work that I do, AJ.
Yeah, no, this is great because rather than, as you mentioned, having heated arguments and just decide on the basis of who wins the argument, this is based on a technology that will give an accurate assessment whether the person is capable of driving or not in a safe manner. So
Yeah.
that takes away all the guesses, like the guesswork that yeah, you are or you are not. Uh,
Yeah,
like
and you were
a driver.
saying earlier about, you know, not only the safety of the driver, right? It's also the safety of the other road users. And so this assessment helps families like present the discussion to that person, because nobody wants to be considered a dangerous driver.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it turns it around that, hey, Dad, you know, not only thinking about you, but also thinking about the other drivers out there. You know, it's a
Right.
very compassionate, caring way to think about not only yourself,
Hmm.
but to think about your fellow driver. Um,
Right. Right.
because, you know, you need to be strategic when you have these conversations, when you have concerns about, you know, family members driving. Yeah. You need
Yeah.
to be sensitive, you know,
Hmm.
and remain positive on what you can do. You know, it's normal to have some resistance from the person you're talking about, they're driving, but, you know,
Right.
yeah, so that's been a lot of the feedback, is that families are really appreciating that it's, you know, fair and accurate, and it's objective. It's, you know, a third party that's been involved. It's not an opinion from a
Hmm.
family member saying you're not safe to drive. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned about COVID-19 earlier a little bit. So we all know that COVID-19 has really disrupted normal life. And what do you see as the impact of this pandemic when it comes to the driving assessment service that you're offering?
Mm. Um, I certainly know, we all know that there's less traffic out on the road, and our senior population are therefore driving less. You know, they're our most vulnerable group with
Hmm.
COVID. So that's definitely been impacted, is, you know, their driving skills, and consistency around that. So I expect that once things resume some kind of normalcy, whatever that may look like,
Hmm.
there may well be a number of seniors that will automatically give up the keys to driving on their own accord, or they may need to have an assessment. But I want to reassure all of your listeners that we have adapted here and pivoted. We now have no contact barrier screen in between the client and the assessor. And
Hmm.
we're all wearing masks, all following all of the standard CDC and Alameda County and Pleasanton City protocols around disinfection and sanitizing. We've only got one client coming in at a time, the family members being asked to wait outside.
Hmm.
And yeah, and definitely in the car with wearing masks, and I have a visor on as well. And again, everything's sanitized and disinfected after every assessment. So yeah, it's definitely been a disruption.
Hmm.
But you know, for some families, it's been a blessing in that the mother that they were worried about driving is no longer at this point. So
Hmm.
for some, it's been, you know, a positive from that point of view. Yeah.
Very good, and this is very assuring that you know I think what you just explained gives the confidence that people can still take the assessment in a safe manner. So, as we are coming towards the end of the show, are there any final thoughts that you want to either summarize? You mentioned Pleasanton, so your company is located based out of Pleasanton. So, do you want to give like contact information,
Oh,
yeah, or
yeah.
any information that final thoughts?
Yes, please. So our office is called Driver Cognitive Assessment Centre, known as DCAC. Our phone number is 925-249-5947. We are over on Black Avenue at Suite D, at 4450 Black Avenue, Suite D. All of our assessments are by appointment only, and we don't do any walk-ins, and
Mhm.
especially with COVID, but everything needs to be booked and scheduled ahead of time. And our website, if I could share, is www.dcac, as in Driver Cognitive Assessment Center, bayarea.com, dcacbayarea.com. And our phone number again was 925-249-5947. And yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, and just wish everyone the very best out there. Safe driving, stay well, and thank you so much for the opportunity to share about this technology.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. So, thank you for joining us today, Melanie, and sharing the great work that you're doing in terms of keeping our seniors and other people on the road safe. So, listeners, thank you for joining us on Aging by the Bay today. This show was brought to you by ComForCare. If you enjoyed the show, and please subscribe to our podcast. You can find this show and also the previous shows at our website, agingbythebay.com. We love your feedback, and so please leave your comments. If you have any question for our featured guests or want to become a featured guest, please contact us by sending us an email at info@agingbythebay.com. We will be back next Saturday at 10 a.m. Until then, be safe and take care.